Welcome to the stream, everybody. Ha! Hi, Abby. You are in fact already here. I had some technical problems, but I am sorted now. Hello. I am actually starting today by trying to play Palingrid because I played my new daily game earlier today, and as you can see, my mother has bested me. So I am going to see if I can up my score. Just a little bit, only for the first couple of minutes, just to see what's going on. See if I can get anywhere with this, because I am trying. I've managed to beat her a total of once ever. The schedule is covering. What do you mean? Oh, well, I do not see it at my end. Is it something you can close? Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Great. Okay. Alright, let me see if I can get anything here. That's not bad. Although I wish that Metz and Thames was a word. I feel like that would be a bit more optimal. Maybe... There we go. That's much better. Alright then. Let me see, we're having a bit of a chat challenge here. See if we can, see who can beat me. I realise I don't have the chat on stream, so if I decide to include this in the VOD, or if we're watching back after the fact, then my sister is trying to beat my game. Okay. Or maybe this is better. This has potential. Alright, so what are we working with on here? Maybe this? Okay, not bad, not bad. In theory, I should be able to get 11 more points with this. That makes me want to get how many points? 3 points, because apparently L is a word. Okay. Thinking maybe I can make a backwards word up here. It's nearly smirk, but unfortunately no I. Otherwise it'd be like this. But smirk with an A is not a word, alas. Do shark would it mean I'd have to take this out, and then I think that would screw up a lot of things. Why did I put this here? Oh yes, because of team and meat and stuff. Okay, okay. There's too many K's. What do I do with you? Maybe I could do a rake over here. It's not very high scoring, but it's not bad. Oh wait, but I'm not aiming for my high score, am I? Hello Abby, doing very well. Catching me up. I've got to get 8 points. Oh, okay. Does this give me anything? No, I'm just going to sort of try this in a couple of places. That does this, what does this? Does this do what? No. Okay, dough. Alright, fair enough. That gives me even more. What have I got that? I've got dough and also ode. Okay. Not bad, but let's see what else I can get. What does this give me? Elm. Oh, that diagonal. Okay, okay. So we do that. Nice. That's my high score for today. Another high score. What did... Oh, that gave me fed, I reckon. Probably nothing else. Yeah. I'm 4 points behind Mom and I do not think. Classy Abby. First words being fast. I mean, it's a good word. It's got a lot of, like, common letters in the middle. So, I mean, could be worse. How are we doing? No, not bad. Not bad. Not bad for just chucking everything in. See, I need to get 4 points with these 2 letters, or I don't think I'm going to beat Mom. But I'm going to try. What happens if I do this? 49! Bruh. Yeah, if I do this, it's going to not help. 51! Yes! What changed? What changed? Why is that good? Why is that good? What is that good? There's era are the eras. Wait, what is different? Say dough, fed, ear, and ears. Oh! So era is better than ear. That's good to know. And also it gave me row down here as well. I am the champion! At least for today. Great. I'm not going to tell my mum because I did that. I told Mum yesterday that I'd beaten her score, and then she immediately came back and improved her score by like 10 points and massively overtook me. Well, great. That was fun. So let's exit this. Oh, you get my lock screen, my desktop background. Don't mind that. In fact, just for a second, I will switch to the yes, there we go. Just for a sec. I feel like I'm multitasking so hard right now. Maybe one day this will feel easier. Today, however, is not that day. Could do a little bit of setup here, don't mind me. Just getting everything visible as we want it. Alright. Calm down, Godot. Nothing's happening. It's trying to crash on me. I shall not let it. Okay, there we are. Though I will just update this. I'm working on. Can't type. There we go. Okay, right. And we are back to PNGTuber Plus code review. It's part 2. I actually don't remember where we left off exactly. I do remember seeing I think I saw a comment maybe, or maybe a method last time, a function name even. Here we are, unnamed, but this is the microphone menu button. And this, it bothered me. So, my sister, who is in the chat currently, gets to see me doing a code review. Did you catch up with the VOD last time, Abby? I think I'm on a bit of a delay in terms of hearing the stream, so I shall, instead of seeing the stream, even not hearing the stream. It was, yeah, okay, fair enough. It was quite long. You have done Tumblr code. Have you actually? I didn't know that. Well, this is pretty like high level stuff. There's nothing here that's super intense or complicated, or it shouldn't be at least. I just need to turn on the light in here actually because it's gotten real dark. Let me just do that. There we go. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. Not entirely lost. Well, that works. So, right at the end of the stream, which if you didn't see the end of the VOD, then you won't have seen that. But just to briefly catch you up. Last time, there were a couple of weird things that were going on. So the first thing was that every time I opened the game engine, the game engine complained at me because there was a really large file, and it turned out that a default font was embedded into the file several times. So I removed that, because you don't need a default font embedded at all, let alone multiple times. And then second thing that I did was I was looking at some of the code, and so one of the things that I really don't like about how Godot engine used to do things is that when you have an object in your game and you want it to reference something else, as you like here, what it does is it on ready, which means as soon as the node is ready to do anything, it will go and find the other node it needs by exact path, which is not ideal. I think Godot's script editor might account for this a little bit, but if you want to use an external script editor, this won't be accounted for. It basically means that if you move anything in your game, like if you change the hierarchy or the order of things, if you rename something, everything will be lost and broken and sad. And I don't love that. So I changed that for this class at least. But there is many more things, and right at the end of my stream last time I saw this fun comment which says, unnamed, but this is the microphone menu button in capital letters. It doesn't make a ton of sense that you would even leave this here, because you can just change the name of the method. And in fact, I would encourage this, because if you do, then you don't have to add random comments. And when you so at the other end of this, the way that you connect up a button to say, hey, this is the thing that I want, this is the code that I want to call when the button is pressed. Which button was this? Hold on. This was the microphone menu button. Okay, so if I select the microphone, if I can. Can't select it that way. Okay. Godot engine is not responding. Maybe that was why. There we go. Okay, so now it's working. You can see here. On button pressed. Now this doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, obviously we're looking at a button, and when we press it, we want it to say on button pressed. What is this? What is this emote that has the first half of my username in it? I've never seen that before. That's so random. Anyway, I didn't know I had an emote. This is news to me. I've been through all the settings. I did not set up an emote, so apparently I didn't set the image for it though. I'll have a look at how to do that, because that would be interesting. I should also look at how to put my chat on the screen, so it's visible in the VOD. I looked at it briefly and it seemed like a complicated thing, so I didn't do that later. Well, okay. That's a fun little thing. Anyway, so here, this doesn't actually tell me anything about what this is connected. Obviously, when you're pressing a button, you want it to call the code that happens when you press the button. So this sort of makes sense in this context, but sometimes you'll have signals connected to all sorts of different things. So it makes a lot of sense to just have this be clearer, and it also means that you don't have to have this random comment. You could just have this here. So I'm just going to change this. And microphone menu button pressed, and then I can just delete this ridiculous comment. I mean, not ridiculous, that's a bit mean. This superfluous comment, perhaps. Unnecessary. And then I will wait for that to save, and then I'm going to actually disconnect this, and instead go to main, and then I will pick on microphone menu button pressed. Like all the rest of them are named relevant things. Connect. I forgive the frequent interruptions of my laptop getting stressed out and being like, oh no, everything's terrible and I'm going to crash and stop responding to you. It is my laptop that is the problem. It is not Godot itself. Godot is normally a lot more well behaved when I'm not also trying to stream and have OBS open and all that jazz. My laptop has a bit of a time with anything involving graphics. I'm looking into possible solutions, but I did not want to put off starting to stream any longer. Anyway, so now that that's taken care of, I've got rid of that ridiculous comment. Let's have a look at some more of this. Let's see what I can see. Okay, let's go all the way up. So now this looks like this. It doesn't have a bunch of random other bits and pieces in it. This is a very long class, and I kind of would like to perhaps split this out. But anyway, well, you know what? That is an interesting thing. I wonder why this method is here. And why this is here. So what is settings menu? I'm going to just look at settings. Let's look at the simpler one, which is looking at the settings thing, because it doesn't toggle two things, it only toggles one. Settings menu. Okay. Oh, okay. I understand what's happening here. So This is something I briefly touched on in the other video, but for some reason, a lot of the UI and like overlay over what you'd normally have playing in this, it's not really a game, it's a program, but I think I consider sort of the UI bit as sort of anything that could be considered an overlay, or like just like buttons and stuff and just information about what you're doing in the actual program, and then the actual program bit is your actual avatar and how you're interacting with the actual avatar on the avatar itself, not all of the extra overlay information around it. And what is kind of strange with this especially is that almost all of everything, not just the avatar itself, but also all of the UI and controls are set up not to be UI, they are set up to be part of the two-dimensional, quote-unquote, game, the two-dimensional program, rather than being UI itself, which is confusing to me, and I think it means that we end up sort of losing some of the functionality here in terms of organizing various bits and pieces, like, I don't know, the layouting, for example. Like, the UI comes with a lot of default layout stuff. Yeah, that is a bit different. Can I explain the difference between UI and 2D? The thing is with Godot is that Godot, kind of, there is an overlap here. I feel like I need to open up a different thing to sort of explain what I mean. You know what, I'm going to do that, but I have to close this down. So give me a second, I'm just going to switch to my BRB screen so I can swap around some stuff, and then I will come back. Okay, I'm currently trying to load Hex Builder, which won't perfectly answer your question, but it might answer your question a little bit. So if I press play, now my laptop might cry, because it's trying to do a lot of things right now. Oh, yeah, no, that's crashed, I think. I'm just going to transition back. Alright, well, I can't demonstrate with an actual, like, proper demo. I suppose the next best thing that I can do would be to say... So, if you imagine a 3D game for the moment, because it's a bit more straightforward. If you imagine a 3D game, you've got the actual, like, 3D world and environment. There we go. You've got the actual 3D world and environment, and then you've got the UI over the top. I got this laptop. Yes, I did get this laptop, but I did not realize that its capability for handling anything related to graphics was so terrible. In fairness, I was not doing a lot of things with graphics at the time. I'm thinking about it. Oh, right. You got this laptop. I see what you mean. Okay, fair enough. I am tired of my own laptop being slow. I hope the audio is better than it was last time. I hope I'm not peaking too much. But I've had to put my microphone really, really close to me, and okay, great, because it was getting a bit weird on the VOD and it was bothering me. But the I've got noise cancelling on really, really high because my laptop is having a time. It currently says it's at 93 degrees. So that's fun, and it's not really doing that much. I've closed like most things. It was getting towards like 98 before last stream, so hopefully this is not going to happen this time. Fingers crossed. We can but hope. Okay, I'm going to open Godot back up with the regular thing. Anyway, back to your question, which was about what's the difference between UI and 2D. So, like I said, the thing with Godot is that it's actually confusingly similar. There is an overlap. But if you imagine like a 3D game, you've got the UI with the buttons and the text on screen and all the overlays and everything, and then you've got the 3D worlds and game inside it. Now, if you imagine something like I don't know, Stardew Valley. That's not 3D, but you've got the overlay, like you've got your inventory at the bottom, you've got like, if you talk to somebody, you've got like the speech bubble at the bottom, you've got like their little kind of avatar picture thing that comes up, you've got like the time, you've got the weather. That's the UI, and then the actual 2D world is where like your character walks around and changes things, and you've got like your farm and whatever. That's 2D. Does that make sense? There's the distinction between the UI and the 2D. So it's sort of like a overlay that has sort of meta information, and then the actual game world. Does that make sense? Great. So the thing about PNGTuber Plus is that it's not a game, but it sort of functions in a similar way in terms of the layout, because you've got this thing, this bit, which is where you control like your microphone thresholds, and you've got some information here, and you've got like some buttons and whatever, and there's also, if you go into edit mode, a bunch of other stuff that comes up. And so this is your UI, and then sort of the quote-unquote 2D game is the actual avatar that you'd be editing. So for demonstration purposes, give me a second. Give Godot a second also, because it's being slow. Yeah, okay, so, oh look, it's very meta. I've got 2 owls. This one's hair doesn't scroll, because this is not the version with my shader in it. The 3 frames of map, yeah, I know. So, if I press edit, this owl here, if I open this, like, with the lines and everything, this bit is the game. All of this is the UI. And I say game, I mean like this is the 2D bit. But confusingly, thanks, which bit is cool? Confusingly with Godot though, you can sort of interleave all 3 types of node. You can interleave what they call controls, which is everything that is UI, 2D nodes and 3D nodes, all in amongst each other. So it's not. So you can do pretty cool things, like I've got in my other project, my main project in Hex Builder. I've got some control nodes, the UI, underneath, like parented to a 3D node, because I wanted some UI to be sort of stuck to the 3D object. So when I move around in the 3D world, I've also got a bit of UI that stays stuck to the 3D object, which is quite cool. It's a bit more complicated than that, but not too much. It means you could also sort of do the inverse, where you could put a 3D object in a 2D scene, which is quite nice. And it means that you could do some sort of advanced things. But what is confusing is that a lot of the stuff that is in this program has been set up as if it's in the 2D game and not in the UI, which is honestly not really. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it also sort of means that we don't get all the benefits of Godot's UI setup stuff, which is like you can automatically arrange things within the boundaries of a screen when you've got UI. So what I'm going to do is maybe try and move some things. Now the problem with moving some things with this game, because I still have a lot of node path things. Why have I got errors already? Oh, I remember this. I fixed this somewhere else. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. This is a future me problem. I will fix that in a future stream. But the problem with, like I was talking about in the last stream, is that we've got these node paths everywhere. So if I want to move stuff or rename things to be a bit more sensible, then things will start to break, which is less than ideal. So I might need to end up just literally going through all of these scripts, which is no small amount of scripts, despite the fact that a lot of these scripts are doing a lot of, like, seemingly a very large amount of things. We still have quite a lot of stuff, quite a lot of random bits and pieces in here. So despite that, we might need to go through this and change these from being on-readies to being exports, which will probably be a little bit more of a boring task. let me demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So if I actually go into this chain scene, so for your benefit, Abby, because I know you're not a game developer at all, I go back to the main scene. So this little icon here means that this is a scene. It means technically it means it's an instance of a scene, which means that you have a separate setup of stuff in whatever layout with whatever code and whatever, and then you can make copies of that somewhere else. And it just means first off that you can reuse that a lot more easily. That sort of little chunk, yeah, like a layer, but it's a bit more versatile than that because you could reuse it a bunch of times, and it also means that it's sort of hidden away a little bit. And there's also extra bonus things you can do, like you can inherit from a scene, so you can have a scene, and then you can have a scene that is like a copy of it, but with maybe an extra object in it, or just like one thing changed. That can be a useful utility, and it can be sort of like a not useful utility sometimes. Depends on how you use it, really. In this case, I think like we're not using this chain thing more than once, but I think it does make sense to sort of keep away from everything else. But what doesn't make sense is that, what does make sense is that this would be no 2D. Well, it can be not useful insofar as people can go too far with it. So, like, it could just get really complicated if you've got a bunch of inherited stuff. But if you've got like a sort of like chain of inheritance, the last thing can end up like if you've got scene A and then scene B inherits from scene A, and scene C inherits from scene B, and scene D inherits from scene C. Scene D, by that point, is probably very different from scene A, and it's just like, why is this inheritance chain even working, even here? And I had a lot of experiences with my last job where scene A would have a lot of assets in it that scene D did not need. But because scene D needed scene A, because it was inherited from it, all of the assets that were in scene A had to be loaded up for scene D as well. Yeah, basically. And so it's a bit of like, it's one of those things where you've got sort of like a... as in most things, it's good to a point, but you can definitely overdo it, and it can go so far as to be sort of mismanaged. Yes, exactly. Using all the Godot code as well, exactly. Okay, but back to what I was saying before. Like, this makes sense to us to be Node 2D because this is the outline. I don't love that it's called chain. Slow it down, yes, and also use too much memory. If you've got a bunch of assets loaded, then that's a lot of memory. It also means that you've got to download a lot of things if you've got a live game. So not great. And because I was working on a mobile game, it used a lot of battery because it had a lot of stuff in memory, and it was just large. I spent a lot of time untangling and all of that. It was a fun, not so fun time. So I'm actually going to add this thing to this file first. This is a bit of a confusing one, honestly. Where's the thing? Hold on, I need to go find the actual file. Where's chain.gd? Here it is. Rename you. Have a capital C so it matches. Okay, so what I'm doing here is this a bit of a unique thing for Godot and Godot's internal scripting language, which is called GD script. Usually, with most programming languages that you'll encounter in game development, they're what is called object-oriented. So I've got completely distracted by this function name. I don't think you got as far enough in the VOD, Abby, last time to see the bit where I just saw very unprofessionally named variable. This is not as bad, but it just doesn't tell me anything useful by naming this oh yeah, especially because it seems to be called here, which is every single frame, and also confusingly here. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. There's so many different things that I want to change here. Okay, so we've got this, we've got chain, but in normal or other coding languages I've experienced and used while doing game dev, you'll have what is called object-oriented programming, which is where you will name an object and then you will give the object things like variables and functions and whatever the heck else. Godot is a bit different. It does have objects, sort of, but in order to be able to talk about this object in a different file, you have to add this. I don't fully know the technical reasons why. I assume there's a reason, and I don't know if there's any reason why you wouldn't want to do this, and I don't know what, like, if there isn't one, I don't know why you wouldn't have this just as a requirement for all files. But anyway, for now, I want to change this so I can actually use this and reference the concept of a chain elsewhere. So I'm going to do that. And then also, while I'm here, I'm going to change these to be exports. Line2D is a line, and then plug is a sprite. Okay, so if I just go back to script, this is yelling errors at me because we don't want these anymore. So this was telling me that in order to find the line when the chain object was ready, so this parent object, it would go and find its child, which is called line2D. But what if I want to change it to be called something that wasn't line2D, like maybe outline, because that seems logical. In that situation, this would break because it wouldn't be able to find an object, a child object called line2D. So I've changed this here now, and you might be like, but it says line2D now here, and I'm like, yes it does, but that's because this naming is a bit confusing for this explanation, because this object is called line2D, but it's also an object of type line2D. So if I actually rename this now to outline, which I like more, then you'll see that this says outline over here, which is the name of the object, but the object is a line2D. Does that make sense? Do you follow me with the distinction there? So this is specifying the type of line here. So when you've got an on ready, you don't have to specify the type. I don't really know why, but you have to specify it when you're doing an export. I'll explain what an export is in a second. I'm glad that's making sense for you. I am very much more enjoying having somebody in the chat for this. It's making my life a lot more interesting. So thanks for joining. Okay, so we've got plug, which is a type of sprite 2D. So same concept. This is called plug, but it's a type of a sprite. If I go back to chain, you can see we have line and plug here now. We didn't have it. This whole top section was not here before, but this is now saying, this is giving me some properties that I could assign, and now I could do this, and I could do this, and now the chain object will know about these two no matter what I do. So if I rename this to something like blah blah blah, if I click on chain, it still knows about it. So that's why I like exports rather than explicit node paths. Okay, so if I exit that now, it's updating the scene. Okay, great. So we have chain in here. It's got outline and plug assigned. Fabulous. Okay. Which one do I tackle now? Let's work from the bottom to the top. So push updates. What is this? Oh, there's so many things. Okay, so I'm going to do the same process. This is going to be a little bit tedious. Apologies, but there's this sort of issue has sort of exact pathing is quite prevalent, let's say. Oops. It is always the way of things that whenever anybody looks at you, you suddenly can't type at all. I'm going to rename this to push updates. I don't think this is necessary, but I want to match the class name because I think it's a bit neater. And this is also in a scene, so let's go in here. Now, what is push updates? Okay, so here's an example of what I was talking about. So push updates is a type of node 2D. So node is just like an object in the game. In this case, in a scene. But VBox container is a type box container, which is a type of container, which is a control. And as you remember from earlier, controls are a type of UI. So this actually is so tiny, it basically does not do anything. But VBox container is, like, all of push update's job is to have this script and hold UI. So push updates, in my personal opinion, should be a UI node. That makes sense to me. So where is push updates? Push updates is down here. Okay. Well, that helps because it gives me sort of information, I suppose, about where things should be. So I'm going to change this to a control. So I right-click to change type, and I changed it to control, which I like a lot more. But that means I now need to change the script. I need to say extends control instead of extends node2d, because that is true. And then I'm also going to do the same thing here. I'm going to export VBox container. I'm actually not even going to do that. I'm just going to this because VBox container is the type of it anyway. And I will reassign this here. What does VBox container do? I have no idea. What does it do? It has a label added to it when an update is pushed. Is that it? I guess so. When is push update called? If I click lookup symbol, does that help me at all? No. See, this is why I use Rider. I need to not be using the Godot's inbuilt thing. Rider is better for this. So if I go now into Rider instead, open push updates, I could just do a nice Control D. No usages found. Really? So what happens if I do just like search push update as a raw string? Any references to this at all? We do, so I don't really understand why Rider was telling me it didn't. Rider is usually better at this. Okay, so it's just like giving you information about what you did. Oh, I hate this class. I hate this global class. This is another thing. This whole global class is sort of horrible because it handles sort of everything, and it has information about literally everything. And you can see how much info it has just from this list of items that it's trying to reference. Too many things depend on this class. I'm usually of the opinion that sort of things should take care of, like, things should be responsible for themselves, I suppose. And I think this global class is responsible for too many things. It's responsible for, like, saving settings. It's responsible for adding microphone info. It's responsible for animating, for adjusting volume sensitivity, deciding whether we're speaking or not, deciding which sprite we're using and moving the sprites around. There's so many things it's responsible for, and I just don't love it. But I think I'm going to have to tackle that later. I need to focus on one thing, which is going through and sort of teasing out all of the miscellaneous exports issues and on ready and node path issues and changing them to exports. So I'm going to change that a bit. Now, one thing here is that you will see that if I click on push updates, it's actually up here, and that is not where we wanted it to be. I don't think we wanted it to be down here. So I am going to just click on container sizing and does not have a control parent, so it's very difficult to position this. I think I might add a canvas layer. Canvas layer not parented to there. Thank you. Let's make this parented to main. Canvas layer is the thing that can sort of just like hold a bunch of different UI. So if I just look at this. Yeah, that's all fine. The canvas layer, you can't really see on the screen, but it fills up the whole window, kind of, that the well, program rather than game is playing in. So now if I put push updates in here, it doesn't have a control parent exactly, but we can at least say we want it to be in the bottom left. I save that, and then we go into push updates. This is still sort of parented on top of it, so that will come up nice and clearly. And if I briefly just say editable children, just so that I can see where it is in here. Yep, there we go. It's all nicely there. Now we'll turn off editable children for now. Yeah, okay. So it moved the first thing that is UI to be actually UI. We have so many more things than this. I'm fascinated by this shadow sprite. I've got no idea what this does. Literally none. I guess I will discover it at some point in the future. Viewer arrows. Nice and vague. Okay. Anyway, so chain can stay as being 2D. I actually, No, I'm not gonna shift anything else around for now with the chain. I briefly considered it, but I'm not going to do any more of that. So let's look at tutorial instead. As you can see, it's got another one of these. So let's do this. Why has it got on ready tween? That's kind of wild. Hold on. Tutorial.g is what it's called. Yep. Oh, and I need to do. There we go. So now we can reference this elsewhere if we need to. Why would you ever need to do that? Why does it need to be? So this was saying that the tween variable is assigned to be null when the object is ready. But you could just not do that, because I'm pretty sure you can't press a button. Like, the only time it's used is in this on button press thing. But you can only press a button when an object is already ready, I'm pretty sure. Where is on button press called from? That's interesting. This is called from down here in the button. Hold on, I need to figure out what this is. Tutorial is down here. And this is a node 2D, and it's anchored at the bottom right of something. It's 720, 720 apparently. That makes me suspicious. I think this is going to be another big piece of UI. We have info, which just is this image. This is a sprite. It is not an actual button. The button is secretly hidden beneath the sprite, which is confusing because, as you can see, the button has a place where you can put the icon. And what is 9patch rect? What does this do? Oh, this is the tutorial info. So 9patch rect is going to be this box, and then label is all of the text. Fascinating. Okay, well, tutorials should definitely be in control, and so should info. I don't understand why why this object even exists. I'm going to move the button up to be directly below tutorial, and then I'm just going to give this the info image. And sure, it'll be a little bit off in comparison, but that's okay. So if I just turn you off, and then this is a bit, it's sort of moved a bit, so let me just reset this to be as, I think it's probably -40. -40 is 40 big. There we go. Yeah, okay. So what did it look like before? I mean, I can actually turn the info temporarily back on to see. Yes, roughly in the same place. It's close enough. Okay, so I don't know why this existed. It can leave. Bye. And then button. Yeah, okay. The one thing you might see is that there's quite a big space here. Something else that is a little bit confusing to me, actually. It just occurred to me that this is a button, and it was a button as well. It's got more space around it now, so we're more likely to click it. But this is also a button, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is a button. This is the button to go into edit mode. Why is the info button over the top of it? Let me just go back. I will redo what I've done previously. But I just need to see how this works in the game, because it doesn't make any sense to me. In the program even. I keep calling it a game. It's technically not. Yeah, info could absolutely be above cog, but I'm just like, why isn't it? Oh, push updates. Something looked for push updates, but I've moved it, so it lost it. I didn't realize something needed to know where push updates was. Okay, give me a sec. What is the, where am I? Yeah, I'm in main. Main. I see. This is something I did before. Normally we wouldn't have this problem because we wouldn't be changing the type of things that much. But in this case, we have changed push updates to not be a node 2D anymore. It is a control. So now if I run the project, it won't complain at me. Yeah, in terms of should it be, yes, probably. I am looking at how it works currently to see if there is any explanation as to like maybe something is hiding info. Normally, yes. You see, there is no info here. If you click on this, then info is there. Interesting. What is doing that? Is it happening in the tutorial code? No. What? Okay. I feel like a detective. Well, either way, I'm going to redo all of that because I still think it doesn't make any sense for it to be what it's doing before. So I don't really like calling this tutorial, but it'll do for now. Exasperated peeking, sorry. Thank you for the heads up. I will get further away from my microphone. Okay, so we've got the button. I'm going to rename this to info button. Then tutorial over here, got 9 patch rect. I'm going to call this tutorial info background. Ah, okay. And I'm actually going to change this to not be rect. I'm going to call it tutorial tutorial pop-up rect. That'll do. That's descriptive enough, I think. And I will need to reassign this because I've changed that at least. There we go. Okay. And tutorial, I'm actually going to also change to a control, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to change type to control. There we go. And I'm going to put this under there. Oh, this has been happening recently. I think this is something to do with the with a recent update in Godot. But it's fine, it'll go away in a second once I just shift it. And I'm just going to make sure this says bottom right. But it was offset by a very large amount previously, so I'm changing this. Hold on. Bottom right. Oh, I see. What is this pink outline? Screen color? No. What is this pink outline referring to? This is fascinating to me. Is this where the camera is? Yes. Why? No, actually that kind of makes sense. So this pink outline is the sort of virtual camera that looks into the 2D world. And this little I button was positioned at the corner of the camera, which makes sense if it was in the 2D world. What does not make sense is, what makes sense now is for it to be positioned at this lighter, harder to see, kind of bluey purpley rectangle. This rectangle is sort of the representation of the screen. So the UI should be positioned relative to the screen, not relative to the camera itself, because the camera will display under the things that are on the screen, which is the UI. So now this eye is down here. And I'm sure that something is going to complain at me because it wants that info button and I've moved it, so I'm just going to press play and then it will complain at me and then we shall fix it. Just raise this up a little bit. There we go. Now it's complaining at me. It's actually in main. Tutorial.visible. Well, that is because this should be a control. You still yelling at me? Oh well, you've lost the reference to control completely, so let me just reassign there. Okay. It is complaining at me. Why is it? No, it's still the same thing as before that I said I would fix later. Now press edit. Still doing the thing. Press exit. Great. So that's still working. Fantastic. So it is actually main that is toggling the tutorial, it seems. Which I don't like because there's too many things being controlled from main, even though there are also too many things being controlled from global. I don't really understand how I have so many things that can be controlled, so that we need two separate giant classes that control everything. But here we are. Okay, so we've done tutorial, we've done push update. So I'm actually going to sort of create a checkpoint here by making a commit. And I'm not going to commit this. What is this? What are you? This is a file I did not create. I do not know what this is. I'm going to delete it. Looks like some weird auto-generated thing. So these are all of my changes, a lot of adding things, a lot of edits, a lot of moving stuff. And I'm going to say changing the type of some UI to be controls rather than node 2Ds, and updating more node path references to be export references instead. So just so I've got that like save point. Okay, so let's carry on. Next thing to tackle. So we've done those, we've done this. Let's keep going. Viewer arrows. You don't have a script on you. I don't like these, but I'm not going to fix that yet. Failed to add. Oh, I remember this. I remember this because I didn't know what it was last stream. This is just like this big error. This definitely looks like UI, doesn't it? So I'm going to change it to BUI. That said, I do not know what this is. Oh, it's the background. What? This is using, which sprite is this using? This is using fail.png. And this thing is using tooltipbox.png. Oh my god, the tutorial was even using this thing that says UI scenes, but it was not using the UI nodes. Okay, anyway. Let me just look at this. So we've got down here, we've got, what is this? This is UI scenes mouse tool. Then okay. UI scenes, mouse, for some ungodly reason. This is a 48 by 48 image. And then separately, we have this, which is under sprite edit menu instead. Wait, there's this, and this. Bruh. I also like the typeface. That said, these sprites make no sense. So, let me just backtrack a little bit. I didn't comment on that. I should comment on the things that I like. This here, this box is called a 9-patch rect. This image that it's using behind the scenes is only 48 by 48 pixels. This is clearly more than 48 by 48 pixels, otherwise this text would be unreadable. But it hasn't been scaled up. It's, well, 9-patch rect is how it works. So what it does is, if I go into here, hold on. How do I, there we go, edit region. So if I scroll into here, this is called slicing of a texture. The typeface here is not very dyslexia friendly, you are correct. I could change that later on, but I like the vibes. But this program was not really made with accessibility in mind. It's, you know, open source, it was made as a fun project. People haven't touched it in several years now. But so if just to go back to what I've got here with the slicing, what this does is it says, it sort of makes it able to be stretched without stretching the edges. So the corners will stay the same, and this like vertical edge will stretch up and down, but it won't stretch side to side. Ditto this, but except with the horizontal edge, it will stretch side to side, not up and down. And then this central bit will stretch as far as you need it to, which allows you to have things like this, which is all very nice. What is less nice is when you just have an almost identical image, but you just have like a giant image behind it instead, not stretched or anything like that. It can't be stretched because 9-patch rects don't really, they're not really a thing outside of UI, and this is currently a no 2D. I mean, this one is a bit more stylized. It's got like this wobbly edge and stuff, but it's also way bigger. This is like a 360 by 256 image. I don't like. I like that. I guess that it's got a nice kind of slightly scribbly vibe, like the rest of the thing, but I don't love that more than like this. This is fine, no? And like if I want to change this to UI, so I'm going to change it to just be that. But something that I really don't understand here is like why they didn't just reuse the same texture. It actually needs to be a texture rect. I'm going to make it to be a control. Put it over here. This is a control now, but I'm going to put it under the canvas layer. No, that's not the object I wanted to move. I wanted to move this object. Push update should probably be on top, so let me just reorganize that. Okay, so failed to add sprite message is here, and this, or the container for failed to add sprite message, I actually want to expand to fit the whole screen, and then failed to can just, well, I guess let's just move it to be anchored to the middle of the screen. And I feel like these two should be under here. Label and type. Okay. Okay. Anyway, we just finished positioning things. So let's anchor those to the center, but then we will also make it be a bit offset. Custom, I will say, no, let's do center and then, no. Okay, so it's anchored to the center, but then I want it to be, is that going to be, hold on one second, the way anchors work in Godot is a bit unintuitive to me. Let's go back to saying anchored at the center and then just like physically move, not that one, move it up a bit. I'm going to change this from being called label to being called failed to add sprite text. I'm going to change this from being called type, whatever that means, to be called failed to add sprite reason. And I'm also going to position this center, and similarly I'm just going to move this down. Okay, great. I'm also going to turn this off because it was turned off before. So if I go back to main, it now doesn't know anything about failed to add sprite, and that is probably because if I go up here, it thinks it's an O2D, and I'm pretty sure it does because I remember changing it to be called that. Yes, control. Go, and I can assign that there. Oh, I'm also going to just change this from being called failed to failed to add sprite. Well, I can't type. Sprite. Message. Background. Okay. Much tidier. Alright. Oh, I also need to turn off this thingy. That's by default usually turned off. Okay. There's some things that I want to do around having some default things turned off and just sort of relying on the fact that your scene will be set up the way you expect it to be. Because it's not very, it's kind of annoying. It means that you can't like turn stuff on and off and to make changes without having to remember to turn it off, back off into the perfect state after the fact. Anyway though, I'm actually going to move this canvas layer to be stacked below these dialogues that come up. These can then go similarly above that. So the UI should be on top, and then these pop-up dialogues can be on top of that. Okay. Right. Where to go next? I've done these ones. Oh, I think we're going to have to be tackling these soon. These ones are the big ones that I don't really want to use, but it's okay. For now, let me open lines. What is lines? Origin line drawing.gd. What can this possibly be for? Well, the vertical line is apparently visible. Is it? It says it's visible, but it doesn't have any color set. So I don't know where this is meant to be. Do we have like a gizmo or anything to show us? No? Oh, it's over here. What is this? This confounds me. What can lines be for? Is lines referenced in here? It is, okay. Whoops, sorry, hit my microphone, my bad. It is a mysterious line. It's a mysterious and very tiny line. Look how small it is. And its sibling in mystery is hidden. What is lines for? Okay, I mean, yes, I figured that you drew the line. If it's a line, fine, okay. So, lines.drawLine, remind me what this did. Now I need to go and open the lines file. This is one thing that's actually one reason why I like to put class names at the top so I can reference them somewhere else. You see, this is grayed out. This is because this bit of code has no idea what type of object lines is, so it doesn't know that lines has a method called drawLine. It does, because if we go and find the actual class, or file rather, it's not a class. Where is lines, the file? Is it not called lines.gd? No, it's called origin line. What? Okay. Anyway, I will have to change this to be called lines, or maybe let's call it origin line drawing then. Class name origin line drawing, and also I will copy this to be the file name, but I will rename it in Godot because otherwise it will complain at me. Okay, so now origin line drawing is a class, it's called origin line drawing. Now if I go back into main and I go up to lines object, we say it's not a node 2D. Ooh, calm down, reload. It's not a node 2D, it is in fact a type of origin line drawing. And then if I go back down to wherever lines is, this is no longer grayed out because it knows that lines isn't a type of object called origin line drawing, and origin line drawing has a function called drawLine. Okay, so lines, origin line drawing, great. So I also want to go in here and change these onReadies to say export instead. We know that these are line 2Ds. This is so weird. So we get the viewport, which is the size of the window, kind of. We get the amount of it that's visible, and we look at the size of the window. And then we add a line that is from 0 to negative the size of the window to 0 to positive the size of the window. Then we do the same thing. What is happening? When is this called? drawLine? Whenever the window size is changed, we redraw this. So it's only ever relative to the window size. Well, that sounds like it should be UI. Ah, I thought it wasn't. You know what? I am going to just reassign H and V here. And then I'm going to go to main and I will change. Where is it? Oh, we still have lines here. Okay. That's still referenced correctly. We just press play. Hello, bot524. The reason is because so this is a little bit of a holdover for me from other game engines, but the reason I don't like it is because it makes it really difficult to basically move and rename things. I have often in the past, I don't currently, but I have often worked with other people in that aren't developers, basically. And so having explicit node paths that specify only exactly where something has to be relative to other objects. I mean, maybe, but it's a legit question. It does say bot. I did see it. But still, it's nice to have another chatter. If you've got if you have to specify the exact up and down and all of the names of the objects in between and the whole hierarchy, makes it really difficult to rename things and makes it even more difficult to move stuff around. It does let you do that, but another thing that exports allow you to do is to be able to, well, this is not a very useful view of it at the moment. I just wanted to check before I go into that. I wanted to go in here and see what lines does when I'm in edit mode, if Godot will let me. I go, oh, okay, so it literally just draws a line. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Yes, that sounds like lines should in fact be UI. Yes, so I agree with you with the percent instead of the $sign for that, exactly that issue. But if I go in here, something that I've had to do a lot as a dev is to sort of set up a bunch of scenes with placeholder art, basically, and then later on somebody can come through and just drag stuff into position. They can basically make their own UI brand new and look at the different fields and then just drag the relevant things into the relevant positions, which is super straightforward, and you don't have to go in and change anything in the code. You don't have to look at the code to make sure that your objects are named the perfect exact same thing as they are specified in the code. So yes, with regards to having unique names, but I think this sort of, I mean, the way that it was doing originally with the $signs is really not ideal, but I'm not the biggest fan for the unique names either, and especially because I think unique names don't work if you instantiate a scene multiple times, so that is another sort of problem with the unique names. Yeah, basically. Exactly. Yeah. You understood. I'm glad you understood, because I feel like I'm coming to the end of my brain power for the stream. So, yes, exactly. Welcome, by the way. Thanks for joining. Okay, so where was I? I was looking at this. Yes, okay. So it looks like lines is actually just literally just drawing a line, like a big line in the screen, which I don't really understand, to be honest. Couldn't even see the horizontal one, which I guess is because it's turned off here, which is confounding to me. I'm going to turn it on because I assume it's meant to be turned on. Let me just press play again, and I'm also going to change this to, I wonder if this will work while it's in play mode. Maybe it won't. Let's do a stretch to fit. Okay, if I go into here, yeah, so now we have the horizontal vertical lines. Yeah, okay. Can I drag this? Yeah, I can. So this is just me dragging that around. So the lines literally are just completely only ever relevant to the window. So if I just go like this, yeah, so that moves, yep, okay. Wow, okay, well, alright, well, I mean, that makes my life easier, because I could just change this to be a control, which will be much nicer to have something as, oh my god, why is this taking so long? So got control, and then I'm actually going to make a new canvas layer for this, because I want it to lie under everything else. I have not done this before, in terms of having UI that lies under things, but I can't imagine it's going to be that difficult. Canvas layer under here. My god, Godot is so slow on this laptop. So that makes like -1. Maybe this will work. Let's find out. And then I'm going to change lines to be a control, because controls are relative to the screen, which is what this is, as we have discovered. My laptop is crying. Hasn't peaked above 93 degrees as it did earlier though. So, could be worse. I change container sizing to expand and expand. Is it at 92? It is. Oh, well, now it's at 93. I feel like it heard me. When I said that, it was at 89. I feel like it does really make a lot of sense to have line 2D here, because it can't be relative to, because line 2D cannot know about the screen size. So I'm just going to turn these off actually, and I'm going to add a child node that is just, which control would be appropriate for this? I'm considering maybe just like a color rect, just make it really thin. Ooh, you know what, actually, maybe I think, maybe there's one of these. This could work. So I'm going to, hold on, let's move you to be full rect, so you take the whole screen, because that's how you're positioned. And then this also, it should be anchored, and it should be anchored to the vertical center wide. Yes. Okay, what does this look like? It is a light line. So for now, I'm just going to add a theme override, change the separator. I'm going to override this separator style to be black, I guess. Well, now it's not showing up at all. Yes, the line should be vertical, please. That was wrong. Okay, great. Grow begin and grow end. Did that make it thicker? Hold on, I've not used the style box line very much. Oh no, the thickness would probably do that, wouldn't it? Need to learn to read. Let's make it 2. Genuine, very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for the good book recommendation. So cool to see my brain whirring. Yes, thank you. I probably will not stream for a huge amount more because I am tired. But I will come back and do this another time in not too long. I'm going to change this just to be the edge separator line. And then we don't even need code for this, because it will just automatically be drawn in the middle of the screen. Love you too. Have a great rest of your evening, and have a nice shower, I suppose. And I will let you know when I am next streaming. And also I will write down Scarlet Morning as a book recommendation. Much appreciated. So this still has this theme overrides, layout, blah blah blah, except I need this to be a different theme override, so I'm going to make it unique, because I need this one to not be vertical. And H separator does not need to be in V center wide, it needs to be in H center wide. There we go, and we have lines. Fabulous. Okay, I think the only other thing is that we need to look at lines.drawLine. Bye. Ha, thank you. I appreciate you bumping up my viewer count. Okay, so I know that when this is normally running, there is not a big cross. You could tell this because there is not a big cross behind my little owl avatar. But this is being toggled by something, but it doesn't appear to be being toggled by this, by the actual lines code itself. No. Interesting. So where is that being turned on and off? Lines.drawLine, so zoom scene. No, on window size change, okay. Oh, that's called from here. What is this? What is 30? I presume that is the integers representation of whatever, of some relevant enum value. Probably window size change. This is not the only instance of random magical numbers in here, in this code. In fact, this is not anywhere near the worst instance. I can't find it for now, but that's future me's problem. So what happens when we enter swap mode? There we go. Lines not visible. There we are. Okay, so lines can stay, I think. But I don't think we need this code at all now. So I'm just actually fully going to delete it. I will change, in main, I will change the type of lines to not the origin line drawing because I'm going to delete that class. There we go. Nope. I double clicked on you. I wanted to select all of it. Nope. The amount of times I've had it where I can type like a completely normal person and somebody else has come over to look at my screen and then I have not succeeded at even remotely being able to type like a normal person. Okay, deleted you. Where did this code come from? Oh, okay, so this is, oh, Godot fully crashed. Well, I think that is a sign that I need to wrap up stream. I will tackle the rest of that next stream. So this is from, this is PNGTuber Plus's code. So PNGTuber Plus is the thing that's animating the little owl character I have currently. So let me just actually pull up a tab so you can see what I'm looking at and where it came from. There we go. Let me just here. So this is the repository that it came from. PNGTuber Plus is open source, which is pretty nice. I originally downloaded this and I originally opened the code because I wanted to see if I could figure out how to make my hair cycle through colors, which, as you can see, I did succeed at. But then I discovered all sorts of other fun code choices. We haven't found the most interesting one yet. The decision on whether a sprite is visible and when a sprite is visible is more interesting than I could have ever conceived of. I don't fully understand the logic behind it, at least behind coding it that way. I definitely don't understand the logic behind it yet, but we haven't got there yet. That's something that we'll tackle in another stream, I think. This is actually not the code I originally forked. Because you can see this it hasn't been updated in like 2 years, which is a bit sad. And I really like this software. I think it works pretty well. Yeah, you know, my little owl is working very well. My sister is no longer in the stream. She's the other person that was in the chat, but she's the person who drew my owl, and I love it. I think it represents me very well. And I love that it animates as it does. I think that for something pretty basic and low-key, it works pretty well, but I think it could be better. And yes, I agree. I think it does look very cute. I think my sister drew it for me and just like ran sort of spontaneously. I agree. She did do a good job. I will send her a screenshot of this. I'm going to take a screenshot now before I forget, so that I can send it to her later. There you go. Screenshotted. Hopefully that didn't come up as loud in your sound as it did in my headphones. Wow, that was a really loud screenshot sound effect. Goodness me. Yes, so I think it could be better. I think the hair thing, I had to make a custom build of this stuff for, and also I just sort of wanted to get it done quickly, so I did it very fast, and it means that I can't really edit it. I've got this custom build that has the rainbow hair, but it doesn't have the ability to actually edit the position or animation of the owl at all, so it's a bit of a faff, to put it mildly. And I think I can add that if I figure out all of the other sort of bits and pieces, but I need to do a lot of tidy up before I want to try and start changing things, because I think the way things currently are, if I start changing things, everything will fall apart, just because first of all, I don't have the understanding of it, but secondly, because I think things are sort of a bit held together a bit delicately, I would say. I mean, you know, it hasn't been updated in 2 years, and that happens with any sort of project, open source or otherwise, but with open source, you can take it and make your own one. So I didn't actually fork this directly. I went into the list of forks up here and I found somebody who'd been doing it more recently. And they'd added a couple of quality of life type things, like the ability to sort of hold down your middle mouse button and drag your little thing around, which was useful for me. So I grabbed that. I'm sure there's some other things in there that don't make sense, but that's... this is sort of a fork of a fork. So the original person that made this is Kaya Kairos, and then you may have seen on the screen before, I won't open up Godot right now because it had crashed previously and it might complain at me, and I need to wrap up stream soon because my partner's coming home. But I think the other person is called gamedev, and they'd added some audio and animation stuff and some just general quality of life things. Yes, so I'm sort of taking on the project to put a little bit for my own benefit, because I want a more usable version, because I want to be able to add things like, I don't know, having more than just blinking and opening and closing a mouse. I want to be able to have my little owl friend look over to the side and gesture occasionally, maybe, or sometimes do a little tapping at the keyboard. And that's not possible in its current state without having sort of a GIF kind of. It's functionally how it works, but I don't really want that, not least because that would be a very big file, and I don't want to have that size of a file in my RAM. Right, my laptop is now at 96 degrees, so I think I need to wrap this up and maybe go and let it cool down a bit while I go and maybe have a very late dinner or something after my partner gets back. But yes, thank you for joining, friend. You're the first person in my chat, aside from my sister and my partner. So thanks for joining, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. I will be streaming again probably, I think next stream is scheduled for Sunday. I might do one earlier than that, but I probably won't do this. So if you want to follow the journey on, then Sunday will be probably the next time I revisit this. Yeah, thanks for joining. I hope you have a good rest of your night as well, and yeah, I'll upload the VOD to YouTube, which is the same username, so if you have any follow-up questions, feel free. I've got the first stream up on my YouTube channel as well, if you're interested in where I started with this, because there were some interesting errors happening when I originally loaded up the code. Yeah, thank you for joining, have a good rest of your day. Maybe seeing as how I have one person and Twitch keeps bothering me to tell me that I should be doing a raid, I should figure out doing a raid. I will click raid channel. How do I do this? It's the first time I've ever done a raid, but now I have a viewer, I might as well. Let's drop in on... Oh, thank you. Oh, Abby, you should look above and see that bot 524 was saying how the owl looks cute, and you did a good job. Alright. Let's go to this person who has only 2 viewers and who is LGBTQ plus friendly. Alright. Thanks, friends. I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.